Hello, how are you today? We are here live on Comic Spot, the third interview of the day, but I'm telling you, this is going to be a fun one. I can feel it. Welcome to Comic Spot. That's where this Army veteran, 1973, Germany. I counted money. What else do you do when you're Jewish? Anyway, I started this because I like to check in on comics, and I think we need to have a voice. We are essential, especially now. So I'm interviewing comedians. So that's where the veteran of the Army is vetting out veterans of comedy. So I use veteran 3 times in a sentence. Can you trump that? Sore subject, I know. Okay, I shouldn't have said Trump. My bad. So today on Comic Spot, we have somebody sitting here waiting for me to get done talking with a little bit of reverb in his microphone. So I'm going to ask big, broad, sweeping questions and shut up and let him talk. Welcome to the other box over here, Alex DeCourville. Wave at the people, Alex, and I'll say your intro. That's him. See how good he is about listening to women? That's likability, you guys. He's on alexdoesitall.com. He has a fan page on Facebook, Alex DeCourville, Twitter, Alex the Ed, and Pinheads fan page. He's on Instagram at adecourv TV, adecourv. Adecourv. Got it. I'll type these because it's hard to hear this. And his other fan pages are Pinheads, Science Boys High School Reunion, things he's proud of. Here we go. I'm in the first post-production for my first film, Science Boys High School Reunion. My show Pinheads is on Amazon Prime. 2-time Oscar nominee Bruce Dern endorsed one of my sets, he says. And he's performed on Broadway. Let's get to know him. Welcome, Alex DeCourville. Woo! Hi.
Hi.
Talk to me about your science show. It's a show, right?
It's a movie.
Movie. Talk to me about that. Tell me why you did it, how it's been going, etc. How many fans you have. Brag a little.
Yeah, well, we have over 1,000 fans on our Facebook page, and about 3 years ago, I had an idea for a superhero script. Well, actually, the character goes back a little further than that. I actually had the idea for the character Science Boy around the time I saw Man of Steel, if you can believe it. And in that original script, he was the sidekick. And about 3 years ago, I got this wild hair for to do like some kind of raunchy party movie. And I was thinking of concepts like parties, high school reunions, and I thought, wait a minute, what if it's his reunion? What if it's this geeky superheroes reunion? And I pounded out a script. I must confess, I'm a bit of a slow writer, but I pounded out this script in like 9 days. I pounded out my first draft. I rewrote it meticulously. I even won an award. It was a quarterfinalist at the Kino Dome International Screenplay Competition. And last year, I teamed up with Chances Are Productions. I met them while I was on the set of a short film. The irony I'll never forget is that I was actually missing my high school reunion to do this.
Oh my gosh.
But I met them on the set of another short film. They gave me a great deal on making the film. And last October, we filmed it. We had to do some reshoots. And the funny thing about it is we did the reshoots like right before, like the weekend before lockdown.
Yeah. And so you've gotten a lot of recognition for it.
Oh yeah.
And it's on Amazon Prime. And where else?
We're still in post production of it. I'm not gonna hammer out the. I'm not gonna write a check with my mouth I can't cash about release. What we are working towards is we did sell some DVDs as a bonus for our Indiegogo. We want to get the people who ordered those their copies first.
So what's the future of your show? What like where all are you gonna? What else are you gonna get involved in, and where is this gonna go in the future?
Well, I would like, ideally I'd like to get distribution. Who wouldn't? I'd like this to be another Amazon Prime project. I would like to do other things with Science Boy. I'd like to, I don't know if it's something that I'd like to make a series of. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I mean, I have written some short scripts. I've written a few short sequels and maybe do another sequel another day. Classic example of I'm trying not to just rehash all my ideas from the first film.
Got it. Now you have something else on Amazon Prime. So what's the other item that's on Amazon Prime? Didn't you say something is on Amazon Prime?
Yes, I have a show called Pinheads.
That's it.
Or as some people have jokingly called it, It's Always Sunny in Akron. That's a show I worked on a few years ago. Originally, it was just on YouTube, but and this is another award winner. We were a quarter finalist in the Next TV pitch competition, which put us in the 90th percentile of entrants. I'm quite proud of that.
Yes.
And
what is Pinheads about?
It's about a group of radio station employees who they hang out at a bowling alley. And it's a lot about their personalities. Like, as one person put, my character Charlie, as one person put it, he's basically this weirdo who doesn't have a filter. Brian is obsessed with food. Bernie is just a human non sequitur, so to speak.
Wonderful. Where do you come up with these ideas? What was the muse behind these?
Well, there was a summer. I remember a summer of staying up kind of late when I was in middle school, watching a lot of Cheers. That was a big inspiration. Watching a lot of. I remember. I think this was around the time I was watching Kingpin, what felt like a weekly basis. I think that's where a lot of the bowling stuff came in. Why it's a bowling alley.
Yes.
Also, always been a big fan of shows like The Simpsons, as you can probably tell from my shirt. Big fan of stuff like South Park. So I was trying to apply that kind of flexible reality humor onto my show, which is why there's a lot of fourth wall jokes, a lot of Python-esque humor every now and then.
Wow. My gosh. Did you do all the writing by yourself?
No, I didn't. Sorry, I thought I lost the picture for a second. I did not do all the writing myself. Liam Higgins, who plays Kenny, he contributed some episodes. In season 2, there is a little more contribution from the rest of the cast, like Rance Martin, who plays Brian, he co-wrote an episode. Chris Patterson, who plays Steven, co-wrote an episode as well.
That's awesome. So you've gotten awards for one of these, the one that's already on Amazon Prime. Pinheads has the awards?
Yeah. Well, technically, both of them have awards.
Okay. So differentiate Pinheads awards from the other one.
Well, the award for Pinheads. This was something where they actually watched the entire season, and the guy who watched it, my prize for getting a quarterfinalist for this was basically a one-on-one session with this guy who's an industry professional, and he was really impressed with what he saw. And I still have his number. I still contact him every time I want a little career advice. For Science Boys High School reunion, we were given an award for the script.
Wonderful.
You know, they read the script. They said it was ready for prime time. They said they were impressed. I also won an award during lockdown. There was a contest called the script writing mashup. You were given two genres, and you had a short amount of time to write a short script based on the genres you were given. And I wrote a short script called The Time Traveling Detective, and it was kind of first place or nothing, but anyone who made it, who was a finalist, i.e. anyone in the top 20, was notified, and I was one of the finalists.
Yes, that's so cool. So going back in your life, before you did all this writing, have you done stand-up in Ohio?
Oh yeah, I've done stand-up all over Ohio. I've been to Akron, Cleveland. I'm trying to remember the name of the city, but it's pretty far south. But
Ohio is big.
Yeah. Last year when I met Meatloaf, I told him that we drove 4 hours to see him, and I was like, "Oh, you can drive 4 hours and still be in Ohio?"
Totally. Almost a day, right?
Yeah, I mean, the short film I was talking about, I had to drive to Cincinnati, and that was 3 hours one way.
Oh my gosh. Wow. How long have you been on stage doing comedy before you did this writing?
I would say I started doing comedy back in like 2015.
Wow, long time.
Yeah.
So what type of comedy do you do on stage? I'm trying to figure your type of comedy out. Are you like Bill Hicks? Are you like who do people say you're like?
I've been compared to I often compare myself to like DeCourville, someone like that, just because we're both people who do kind of absurd humor. We're both people who do a lot of voices.
Wow. That's cool. Voices. I love that.
Yeah, that's how I mentioned the Bruce Dern story already. That's how I impressed him, because I met him at a con 2 years ago, and he was this really friendly guy who like let me talk to him for like 5 minutes. And I knew he worked with Alfred Hitchcock, so I did my set where I did my set for him where I talk about asking out women in a Hitchcock voice. Oh, yeah, he thought it was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Can you do that for me?
Good evening. I would like to take you home and show you why they call me Hitchcock. Emphasis on the second syllable.
Hilarious. Yeah, I grew up with Alfred Hitchcock. So Bruce Dern loved that.
Oh yeah.
So where'd you learn these voices? Did you start doing them as a child?
Yeah, I feel like I started doing voices for as long as I could remember. It's one of those things where it's like, sometimes, you know, I don't know how I got the knack for it. It's just one of those things where like I do a voice and people would be like, "Wow, it's so accurate." But sometimes I've had to do a little research, like sometimes for a play role or for certain roles, I've had to do accents, and I can do a lot of accents just off the top of my head. But for a film, I had to do a French accent, so I learned to do. So, you know, I already know a little bit about how to do a French accent, but watched a YouTube video on the finer details, like emphasizing your consonants, rolling your R's. I did the same thing last year when I played a Russian in the film, and my Russian accent was so accurate that the guy asked me if I was actually a Russian.
And then it's not hard to go Polish or German or Austrian.
Right.
Or Swiss.
Right.
Yeah, awesome.
So, Comic Spot, I love it. I know you've loved it. Let's keep it going. I need your help. I developed it so you out there can get to know comics, whether they're brand new or 45 years in the biz. We're going to get to know them so you'll know who to love. So all I need you to do is donate to my Cash App, and that is Linda Marcus Smith. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
So let me ask you about the pandemic. You were doing a lot of things, and how has the pandemic slowed you down?
Yeah, well, the pandemic hit me pretty hard. If we're talking Science Boy, last year I actually produced my first show last year. It was a fundraiser for Science Boy. I produced it with Funny Noises Productions and Chris Kettler. We held it at Pharmacy, and we were going to have a second one. And I had a pretty stacked lineup too. Like one of my comedians performed with Mark Price of Family Ties. One of my comedians performed on a show with T.J. Miller earlier this year. And I'm still in good relationship with these people, so it's plausible I might be able to get the same people, but I can't make any promises. And it was shut down, and I'm thinking I'm still planning on getting it back on track, and maybe at a different venue, but I considered contingencies and backups even before like bars were shut down. Like I considered, maybe we could do a Zoom show. I just thought that the juice would not be worth the squeeze. Like I figured, okay, I mean, it's just not the same as performing in front of a live crowd. I figured, people might not necessarily donate. And the show was meant to promote. We made $50 with that first show I was talking about, so that was pretty cool. And the show was meant to basically promote our Indiegogo, which is how I funded my post production, which is how I sold all those DVDs. But I may have to go with a different edge when I give it another go because you don't get a third bite at that apple. So we can't have another Indiegogo, but I still think it would be great to promote the movie that way. That's one reason I'm waiting, because at this stage, it's like there's really nothing to do with a show promoting the movie besides like waiting until the movie's ready to release and use the show to promote that.
Yes, I can see the point. I see where you're at. That's got to be frustrating. Have you considered giving out your Venmo or Cash App if any of the viewers want to donate to you, if you've been financially hit or want to partake? Do you have a Patreon?
My Cash App is just, it's just my name, Alex DeCourville with a $sign in front.
Okay.
Though, if anybody wants to help, definitely watching and leaving reviews on Pinheads will help as well, because I am getting money for that. In fact, this weekend, I got a $150 check for it.
Wonderful. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So to anybody watching this, the views and reviews are helping.
That's great. Okay. So they can do that. And then I would like to ask you a personal question,
right.
projecting into the future. We've been through the crappiest time in my 69 years of living. I never saw anything this horrible. And I used to watch video reels of the Holocaust at nonstop. So I've never seen anything like this, and I've seen a lot in my day. So how are you planning on coming out of the pandemic better? In what ways in your life?
Well, there are some good things about it. Like I said, the pandemic, as much as the situation stinks, it has given me more time to do things like write. I'm working on a new script. I'm working on some short scripts. I've had more time to practice guitar, practice keyboard. So
guitar and keyboard both? Crazy.
Yeah, the pandemic's given me a lot more time to practice after I'd been a major slouch on both.
So can you make science funny? Like, have
Well,
you done that on stage? Like, said that you're a science nerd or geek and you can make it funny for people to.
I've done 2 shows as Science Boy. Naturally, the Science Boy Fundraiser was one of them, and last Halloween, Toad's Place and Mentor, that's another place I performed. Toad's Place they have their annual Halloween show, which naturally I'm worried about this year, and I performed as Science Boy.
Wow, how did that go?
I got a pretty good reception. I did some of my usual stuff sprinkled in with some gags. Like I did some when I was trying to promote our GoFundMe before I went to Indiegogo. I made some short videos as Science Boy, basically promoting the movie. I did some gags like if like one tying into Avengers Endgame that was about to come out. One where he read letters from fans. So I incorporated some of those jokes into my set as well.
The reason I asked if you can make science funny is in school I never cared about a lot of things because nobody could make it funny. And I could learn science if somebody would just say it to me in a funny way.
Yeah, my aunt actually encouraged me to turn Science Boy into like a series of children's books to teach science that way.
Are you going to do that, or did you already?
I would be interested in it, but I'm just not 100% sure how. And I also just find the suggestion hilarious since my movie is staunchly R-rated. That is, I definitely would be interested in that. And honestly, I just think turning an R-rated movie into a series of children's books would be kind of awesome.
So funny. That's hilarious. You just need somebody that's a curriculum writer that can take the actual specifics of science and make them relatable for different age groups.
Yeah, I would be interested in because I do think it is plausible to maybe take the curriculum and maybe turn it into like how Science Boy would maybe use a certain thing to fight crime.
Ooh, that would be so cool. I like that. That's really cool. So you're an artist. You play 2 instruments that I know of. You do comedy. You write. You have shows. You've gotten awards. Do you do a podcast?
I do not, though I've often been encouraged just because I could talk on end about things that interest me. Like, weirdly enough.
That's so funny the way you said that. If I can talk on end about things that interest me, screw you guys. It's my podcast.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons I might have a little difficulty with it. I must confess I'm kind of bad about going off on tangents, though some people are like that, but I've still been encouraged. Like earlier this year, I just posted something about the Three Stooges that a friend of mine thought was kind of insightful, and he was like, you would be a good podcast host.
Yeah, you've got a great voice and great looks, and you're great in front of the camera. You stay on topic, you know. I think you could talk about anything.
Right.
I was just teasing you because you said that you could talk down the end about anything.
Right. I get it.
Yeah, I think you could do a podcast. Yeah. If you did a podcast, what would you talk about?
I think that's one of the other problems I'm struggling with. I'm not entirely sure what subject I would narrow down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've kind of beat you up with a lot of questions, and this has been an awesome time with you. I don't know how long we've been on here, but is there anything you'd like to close out this podcast, this show with, saying to people about life, hanging in there, making it through a pandemic, or replug your things you're doing where you want traction?
I guess I'll just take a second chance to replug my stuff. Science Boys High School reunion. It's in post production. If it weren't for this whole mess, we probably would have had it released by now. But c'est la vie. I'm really hoping to. I'm really waiting until things are normal until I get to hold a proper premiere, because I know some theaters are opening, but it's like I just don't want I just don't want to hold a premiere where everyone's like wearing a mask and everybody's sitting apart. There are clips and trailers on YouTube, so you can at least see that.
Okay, very good. And where do you want more followers or more people looking at things? Besides?
Well, I am very active on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay. And it's by your real name?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You probably already sent that to me, but I'll write it down just in case.
Right.
Awesome. You have a lot of followers. I noticed that. Don't you have a lot?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a real niche for you. You're very essential in this time. You're very current.
Yeah, not to brag, but I do have some famous followers such as Chuck D, who I meant once, and D Wallace from E.T.
What in the world? That's crazy great. Way to go. Congratulations on all your successes, and I wish you many, many more. You're a brilliant young mind, and you're likable and funny, and there's no stopping you, I'll tell you that. You're not 69 years old like me. Anyway, I thank you so much for coming on to Comic Spot. Now you're a graduate of Comic Spot, so that means you're on the same level with Sinbad, and in case you wondered. And now that you're a graduate, that means anytime something new comes along and you want to come on, once a month you can come on and plug something for 5 or 7 minutes.
Cool.
Yes, and I'll send you the pro version of this video. It'll come out looking like a little sitcom from my editor after post-production, and I'll send it to you so you can share that too.
All right, cool.
Thank you so much. You guys, give it up for Alex DeCourville in Ohio, the big state of Ohio. You don't want to walk across it. Thank you so much, Alex.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You bet. Take care.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody's